Rogers TV.
Good evening and welcome to West Talk. Today is Tuesday, February the 4th. Winter is clipping right along and we've got another great episode for you today. We're going to be speaking with two guests right here in studio, and we're going to keep the intros brief because we also want to leave some room to talk about some events happening here in Corner Brook at the very end. So stick around for that. But first, we're going to cut it over to the man sitting right next to me. And of course, in the winter time, we like to promote winter happenings. If you're going to be here in Western Newfoundland, you might as well embrace winter because it's going to happen. And it's going to be a lot better if you get out and enjoy it than if you stay home and sulk about it. So that's what we're all about on the show. And that's why we've asked Mr. Glenn Green to come down today, who's president of the Western Snow Riders. Thanks for coming down, man.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I guess you're happy to see what's going on here this week.
Yeah, it comes with a lot of work, but it's good. It's good to see that it's finally starting. It's been a late start to the season, but it's coming and it's coming fast.
Yeah, but of course, you know, the work never stops for you guys. It's like a 4-season thing to keep these trails in order and just to keep things flowing, right? So I know you guys did a lot of work to get ready for snowmobile season.
Yes.
And now it's on. There's a few things I wanted to talk to you about today. I talked about trails and stickers and stuff, but first, maybe something exciting. We can talk about some of the events coming up in the snowmobile world. One that I just saw recently that looks really exciting is Snoworama. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've partnered back up with Easter Seals. Snoworama was an event here on the West Coast for several years. I remember even growing up as a kid hearing about it. It was a big event.
I've always heard the name.
Pasadena.
Yeah.
So Easter Seals reached out to me a couple of years ago, and they wanted to kind of revive the project here on the West Coast. Their funding goal for this project is the loaner program, so they can have equipment on the West Coast for families who are here traveling or even local can't afford this expensive equipment for their family member with a disability, so they can have a loan of it free of charge.
What kind of equipment are we talking here?
So one of the products they're looking at is called a, I hope I get this right, it's a hippo chair. So it's basically like a 3-wheel stroller type device. It can have skis to mount on the unit so that you can go for a trail walk during the summer, or you can put skis on it, and so you can take your loved one out and enjoy the outdoors.
Okay.
So it's these kind of products that they're trying to build up now for the West Coast, and Easter Seals, the Snoworama now for the West Coast is going to be focused on raising money for those products for the West Coast.
Okay, and just the overall point of helping people with disabilities and other issues be able to access the outdoors and trails and things.
And I like the project, because West Coast is all about the outdoors.
Yeah.
And so, you know, especially if families traveling here and they have a loved one with a disability and they want to get out and enjoy some walking trails, or just even walk to the base of Marble Mountain, like they can get a loan of this chair from Easter Seals and not have to, even if they have their own, not having to transport it.
Yeah.
It's convenient sometimes because they're a big piece of equipment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I know even at Marble, I've seen in the past the para-skiing equipment and stuff, for instance, like even things like that are so big to move around. So people can help raise money for that good cause by doing what? So
the best way is to join us for the ride.
Right.
And register, do a little bit of fundraising yourself, get some sponsors. Last I checked, I believe we have about 15 to 20 people registered already.
Okay.
We've got a GPS donated by the Newfoundland Land Snowmobile Federation that's going to be drawn for early bird for registrants. So it's going to hopefully encourage people to register as well.
Okay.
So last year we had a really great ride. Looking forward to doing it again this year and watching this grow back to what it used to be.
So a big group ride, what's roughly the area that the ride will be covering?
So weather permitting and snow conditions, thank God it's finally starting to show up because I was getting a little worried.
Yeah.
We will leave Marble Mountain. We will go towards Pasadena, stop at Pine Ridge, go in over North Arm Hills to North Harbour Road, come back out to our shelter in Pasadena, and then back to Marble. So about an 80-kilometer loop, a few stops along the way.
Nice. Sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Something for a really approachable ride for really all kinds of riders, I guess.
Yeah, it's not a challenging terrain, and we try anytime there's an event on the go. We try and get the grooming fresh so that the event can go off as best as possible.
Of course, yeah. When you guys are the ones organizing the event, it's easier to do.
Yeah.
Another thing to ask you about while you're here, I guess the biggest of the events, the biggest uphill drag race that happens in Atlantic Canada certainly is the Race on the Rock, which Western Snow Riders have been involved in organizing for many, many years.
Almost 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is Western Snow Riders even that old? Probably not.
Yeah, we are.
Really?
Yeah. We incorporated in 97, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't recall the exact date of the incorporation, but the club was active a few years before that.
Wow. And so I just, a thing I wanted to ask you about today is I've heard some rumblings around the town that the sort of schedule of events as people would be used to has changed, but it sounds like really for the better. What's going to be different about the way Race on the Rock runs this year?
Well, the last few years that I've been involved, and not saying it's happened because of me, but just, we see how big it's growing.
Yeah.
It's getting huge. It's a full day event just for the drag race. Then we follow Sunday with the snowcross. Mother Nature has been kind, so trying to get the races going on earlier in March means we got to work with Marble Mountain while the ski hill is still open, which has been seamless.
Yeah.
It's been great working with them. But we see how big it's gotten, and it's a drain on the volunteers, it's a drain on the racers. So what we decided we're going to try this year for the first time is we're going to separate the snowcross and the drag racing. So March 22nd, 23rd, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have 2 days of drag racing. So basically your first day would be your preliminary heats, and then you have your finals and your championship runs on Sunday. So it's a much shorter day for the racers, much shorter day for the volunteers. The volunteers are my biggest concern. Without them, I got nothing.
Right.
They're my...
Those are the guys who were there all night the night before.
They're there 3 and 4 days before setting up and stripping down and then prepping for a snowcross.
For the viewers at home, one thing I got to witness, one of the coolest things I got to witness through my time as a manager at Marble is the Race on the Rock event and how it goes. And I understand how important it is to split that drag into 2 days, because sometimes it starts in the morning and is going on till midnight. Yeah. Because you have the snow gets soft and you have to wait for it to stiffen up again or whatever, and so extra grooming and things. So I think that's really a really clever way to allow this event more room to grow.
Yeah, and we're immediately growing right off the bat as soon as we got a little more time spare now. So we're looking at doing a youth race for 12 and under with the little...
A youth
mini,
drag?
Yeah, mini snowmobiles and
wow.
The 120s and the 200s. And yes, that's going to be new, and we've got a lot of interest in that.
I would say, thinking back, a big part of the audience at the event is kids.
Yeah.
And parents and families together. It's a very exciting thing to watch, right? Yeah. And just the sound and the smell, and oh my God, it's so amazing. So that's exciting. So the uphills, just to bounce back, is March
22nd and 23rd,
okay.
Saturday and Sunday.
And then the drags will be, or the snowcross will be is to be determined based on closing date of the hill?
I think Marble is anticipating or hopeful for a middle of April closing date. So we're looking at somewhere around the middle of April, give or take a weekend.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Maybe it'll be sooner. Hopefully not.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing about it. We set the date so as soon as Marble gives their date, we know we're a weekend after type thing. That keeps it nice and simple for us.
Yeah.
We're not committed. And if Mother Nature is really difficult and things start to claw back real early, then it's going to be earlier in April.
Yeah.
Most of our snowcrossers are local, so it shouldn't be too much of an inconvenience. So for a short notice, 2 weeks out race. The drag racers, we get them coming from as far away as Ontario.
Yeah, all over the country, man.
I spoke to Wayne at Marble, and he said the chalets and stuff booked up within hours and days of the dates announced. So.
And then also the trails themselves. So I know that's a constant battle. And a big thing was a big access that got broken was when the bridge up there in Pasadena got washed away, I guess in the spring or in the summer at some point. I didn't even realize, I'm up around there all the time, but I didn't even realize how critical that bridge was to the network, to the whole snowmobile network. Yeah. But it seems like and to me, I thought, well, that's it now. They're not going to replace that bridge. That's going to be way too much money, and that's, they're just going to have to figure it out. So how big of a challenge was that to deal with? And I just wanted you to talk about that because I know there's many bridges and there's all kinds of stuff that you guys have to deal with. So if you can just speak to that maintenance there.
Well, that bridge, like I said, is a vital link, even for just the residents of Pasadena, for walking and hiking and mountain biking. It's a major body of water. If water levels were up, you weren't crossing. So when the bridge went out, there's a lot of red tape to run through when something like that happens, because we need equipment to cross the river to to install the bridge and repair the damages and stuff. So there's a lot of permits and stuff, and those things take time. And sometimes time is not on our side, as you saw. That was right up to Christmas before that got finished.
Yeah.
But the Snowmobile Federation stepped in. They have a contingency fund for like storm damage, major stuff, because clubs just can't afford a bill like that.
Yeah, just wipe you out, right?
Yeah, it would drain us, and if we had to wait, it wouldn't happen. So they stepped in, got a replacement bridge in place, because the bridge that was there was now too short because the river washed out so much. The banks were now wider. So they got us a new bridge, got the lumber, we got the volunteers. Absolutely amazing. Once the bridge was in place, we put in a call to volunteers, like, we need to get this done. I think almost 30 people showed up, and they decked over about an 80-foot bridge in
like a day
5 or 6 hours. Oh, it was half a day.
Wow.
It was absolutely amazing. Just seeing so many people out there. I think the youngest were 7 or 8 years old, up into their 60s and 70s. So it was a good community event. A lot of people come from Pasadena. They all recognize how vital that trail is and that bridge, not just for snowmobilers. It's for their ATV, their mountain bike, and just walking their dog.
I mean, really the thing that keeps all this going is the trail pass and sponsorships, right? Which I know is an opportunity, and I'll just throw it out and say that if you're a business in Western Newfoundland and you want to get some nice exposure, you should contact Western Snow Riders. The package is very high value for what is delivered. But in just the closing of this interview, can you talk about the trail pass, how much it costs, and what it means really when people buy that sticker?
Yeah. Well, the trail pass, I mean, I always try to promote it. I've been promoting it for years in the fact that look beyond the grooming. People buy their trail pass for $100 a year. That's the early bird. A lot of people focus on the grooming. Myself personally, and maybe it's because I'm behind the scenes, but I look at all the road access on my mountain bike, on my quad, in my pickup truck.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of logging roads I can ride on that alders are not scratching my truck because of the trail pass about the winter, which cleared those alders.
Right.
You know, it fuels the groomers, it pays the groomer operators, and when you get bridges like that one in Pasadena that goes out, there's a contingency fund built up for just those types of things, and that all comes from the trail stickers.
Wicked.
And on a club level, we try to do as much as we can on our own, so we do a lot of our own fundraising. So Race on the Rock is a fundraiser that takes money and puts it back into the trails.
Right.
We've worked on grants. We got a grant last year from Yamaha, $15,000, right back into the trails. So we're moving to a more, because of the change in the climate, and we're seeing the lack of snow that we're getting the last few years, the better our trails are, the more road-like trails we have.
Yeah.
We're getting better grooming earlier and later. And the spin-off is, you know, it's economically good for the areas because it's starting to bring in ATV tours.
Yeah.
So we're getting multi-seasonal trails now, and our focus is obviously the grooming and snowmobiling. Yeah. But the spin-offs, we're seeing a huge.
Absolutely, from the mountain biking associations onwards, right? It's amazing how this infrastructure, how some old wood roads are now basically being revitalized and used to create this big network. So, Glenn, I want to thank you so much for coming down today, man.
My pleasure for having us.
And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our next guest in the studio, so stay tuned. All right, and we're back as promised with our next guest here in the studio. We just spoke to Glenn from Western Snow Riders and briefly touched on tourism opportunities. And of course, a key part of tourism 4 seasons in Western Newfoundland is our fantastic airport located in Deer Lake. And we're so happy to have Miss Tammy Priddle, the CEO of the airport, down here to chat with us today.
Thank you, Dustin, for having me.
Yeah, now I know it's a busy week for you guys because you've just unveiled your new strategic plan and had a big event in Deer Lake, which looked like it went really well.
Yeah, we did. So on Tuesday, we launched our strategic plan, and we held a community event, and what a fantastic turnout. It was
full house,
standing room only. We had about 65 people attend, and from all through the region really. And so it was fantastic to network, and people were really excited. There was a lot of positive energy in the room, but most of all for me, it was just really, you could feel the support from the community in the region for what we're trying to do and achieve at the airport. So fantastic.
Seems like you're really getting that buy-in now, and I think it's good to remind people too about the critical role that the airport plays. And also I think a reason you probably had such a good result is because people in the community can sense the vibrancy now at the airport, and it really seems to be on the go. So, and of course we're thankful over the last year or so to have some low-cost carriers who came through, and we understand those things shift and move, but there's always opportunities to go somewhere cool from Deer Lake. Tammy, a little birdie told me that when you first started out in this job was when you were last doing a strategic plan? Probably for the airport, and you do it every 4 or 5 years or something,
That's right? Yeah.
And so, you know, how this strategic plan that you guys have just unveiled, in your mind, is it a continuation of those goals like from 5 years ago? Is there sort of a left turn in here, or how would you just compare the two plans loosely?
Yeah, so I think, you know, our previous strategic plan was the first one for the board, and it was at a time when we were obviously dealing with right in the middle of the pandemic, so there was a lot of uncertainty. So we were a little bit conservative, I think, in, you know, what we were trying to put forward.
Yeah, because you didn't know what the future was going to be. Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to, you know, overpromise, but we did want to focus on the things that were really important at that point. So the current strategic plan keeps some of that, leverages some of the things that we did. So, you know, driving business growth. There was a goal last time around business growth. Our partnerships. You know, there was a goal last time around partnerships, but this time it's more specific and more strategic, and really building on the great partnerships that we had made last time. So around partnership, we have a lot in this plan in terms of our passenger experience and building on best practice in airports, but also, you know, taking our partnership that we have with the Indigenous people, Indigenous community a little bit further. So really wanting to go from just reconciliation and acknowledgement that, you know, we have Indigenous people and we're on Indigenous territory to, you know, economic reconciliation. So, you know, just in terms of our procurement policy or things that we might do in developing partnership with business, and trying to see where we can do that with the Indigenous community. So really kind of taking it to the next level. And we do have a new goal in this one around transforming culture and excellence in terms of our organization, and focusing on some things around sustainability, environmental sustainability, and enhancing some of our business processes to be more effective, more efficient, using technology and those things. So
it's cool to see that you guys, you know, you're making plans that are really kind of politics proof and all that kind of stuff, right? It's guiding principles for you guys no matter really what happens around you. And, you know, the environmental measures that you guys are hoping to take is a good example of that, right? It's a thing that can be very political, and when I read your strategic goal, I say, okay, they're just going to commit to this on their own regardless. It matters to them, environment,
absolutely.
you know, the environment. So that's great to see. You know, and you talked about the core points of the plan. But, you know, what are your thoughts on driving business at the airport? Like, what, as the CEO, what do you think are the most important things that can be done in the next 5 years to really drive more business through the airport?
So there's a few things. We just actually closed a week ago our request for expression of interest around business development. For land development. And that came out of our 20-year master plan that we just finished. And so that's really, you know, going to the community and saying, hey, what are your ideas? We have all this land. Last year we had just over 330,000 passengers go through the airport. So, you know, there's quite a number of people going through.
Really.
It's a great opportunity. And we want to see that grow. We want to see it grow in terms of having the amenities that people expect to have at an airport. So, you know, things that we're looking for really would include maybe accommodation development, maybe some airside development from a hangar perspective that would help foster other things that could happen there, whether that's, you know, private flying lessons or, you know, having mechanical services on site, like things that just enhance and grow the offering at the airport. So we've gone through that process, and so we're going to be following up on that in the next little while, and that'll help us. And then we're looking at other things that we can do that might, you know, upscale what it is that we offer at the airport that would also allow us to generate a little bit more revenue. We just feel that we can't keep going back to the same, you know, watering hole to gather that revenue that we need to offset the increasing costs. So really looking at ways that we can expand that offering.
And one thing you guys have there is, you know, a lot of land, right? Just a lot of space. A lot of people don't realize that the golf course in Deer Lake is on airport kind of land, and just serves as an example of the type of cool things that could be done with some of this, right?
Definitely.
So I know you probably can't get too much into it, but did you get some inspiring proposals as part of that?
We did. We did get some really interesting proposals, and I think proposals from, you know, businesses and people that would really help us stay the course in terms of what we just launched from our strategic plan, would align with what our values are as an organization, but also some of the goals that we've set. So and in terms of, you know, expanding services and partnerships, again, you touched on a few things like that. What are
some of the, are there any ideal partners for you guys, that you would love to attract over the next few years?
Well, we are trying, because we do have some regulatory changes that came in around people with disabilities.
Okay.
And so inclusion is one of our, values.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that travel is inclusive for everybody. So whoever needs to travel, wants to travel, should be able to do that barrier-free.
Right.
And so we do have a plan that is published around how we're going to meet those accessibility regulations. And we've done a lot of work around that, but there's more work to be done, and we want to partner with groups that represent people with disabilities, because while we can sit around all day long and think that we're doing a fantastic job in meeting those needs, we need to understand it from their lived experience. So we've already started those conversations, and we're going to continue to expand in that way. And so you'll see in anything that we're doing, whether it's upgrades to our terminal that are just renovations, or if there's any new builds happening, new construction, that we will be making sure that we're consulting with those groups to ensure that we're supporting them. There's some new things that are going to be coming up in the short term that we're looking at doing, like having a low stimulation space so that people that are traveling, they just need a quiet place. Some people get really anxious with travel.
Yeah.
So, a place that they can just go sit and take a little breather, or even,
amazing,
nursing
actually.
moms, just as, because we don't have a lot of space there, but just a small space that'll be a little bit more quiet space that you can kind of step away.
Airports can be hectic, right?
Absolutely, especially our busy season in July. It gets to be really, really busy, and it can be very, very overwhelming. So
yeah. I mean, the airport, I don't know, this summer I went in there one day and I just couldn't believe the amount of activity, I mean, it was like you were running out of places to put air carriers. You see all this improved transportation out by the front door, the ride and style guys looking so good. It's just like everything has elevated around the airport. You see the obvious partnerships with the indigenous groups, in the signage and the verbiage around the area. So I really think it's excellent.
Yeah.
Tammy, we've got just a moment left in this interview, according to the light that just flashed. Is there, a general thing a main thing or something that you think is important for everybody in Western Newfoundland to know or to keep in mind about the airport?
Well, I think the airport, obviously, and you said it in your opening remarks, that the airport is a very important piece of infrastructure. Yeah. And we really are custodians for that piece of infrastructure. And we are, trying to make sure that we understand what the needs are of the region. We want to hear that. We want to hear, are we meeting the needs? Are we meeting needs from a, quality of life perspective? Are we meeting needs from a business perspective? Because we are an economic driver. Yeah. And so all the work that we do really is on behalf of everyone in this region. So sometimes I think people may not understand that, we have a board of directors that represent various groups in the community, and we really try to make sure that we're good custodians of that resource and that asset, and we want to grow it in ways that are going to be sustainable. So I think that, our current strategic plan and the work that we've done is really about staying true to that. If you think about, all the new airlines that we've brought in, our growth in passenger traffic, all of that is in response to that, but it can only work if there's a good partnership between the community. So we bring it in, people need to use it in order for us to maintain it and keep it going forward. So
such a great attitude, Tammy. It's very refreshing, and I'm so glad somebody like you is right now at the helm here, who is not just interested in just being the CEO of the airport. You want to make significant change and improvement while you're there. And I know you have a team right now who all feels the same way. So
absolutely.
I think that's why we've seen so much great stuff happen in the last few years, and how you got through what you got through in the first part of this decade, and why it'll continue to succeed. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
And
thanks for having me.
I hope that you'll come back when you have some other exciting news this year, because I'm sure there's going to be some.
Oh, there's always lots of things happening.
There is. So we'd love to have you back again soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to throw you right now all the way to the Arts and Culture Center to talk to Krista Hansen about what's coming up in the center this month.
Hello, everyone. Coming up this winter and spring at the Arts and Culture Center, we have so many different things on offer for you. On February 9th, we have the Trans-Canada Highwaymen. This is a super group of Canadian musicians. Mo Berg from The Pursuit of Happiness, Chris Murphy from Sloan, Craig Nortley from The Odds, and Stephen Page, formerly from the Bare Naked Ladies. They will be playing your favorite Canadian songs from the 60s and 70s, performed by some of your favorite Canadian artists from the 80s and 90s. It's going to be an incredible night. On February 23rd, we have the Kinsman Variety Show. This is an annual winter carnival favorite, and it's a wonderful fundraiser for the Kinsman Club. This show is going to feature lots of local performers. After that, we have NL Promotions doing Rock the Brock 2. This group are in their 10th year of performing, and they always bring a high-quality show featuring loads of artists from the east coast of our province. Canberra Arts is presenting Oliver. Last year, you might remember, they did The Music Man. This year's production of Oliver, once again, is going to feature over 100 performers, musicians, and crew, and it's going to be such an incredible showcase of local talent, and I hope to see you out to the show. At the end of March, we've got Tara Manuel presenting a puppet show called All the Premiers I Loved Before. This is going to be a humorous, political look at our history in the province and how the past can inform the future. Tara's an incredible artist, and she has assembled a very talented team, so we hope you'll come out and see this. Also coming up at the end of March, we are going to have the third annual multicultural show, and there's going to be vendors in the lobby with some food and crafts, and then we're going to have a multicultural show in the lobby, so stay tuned for details on that. Also coming up at the end of March is the annual Rotary Music Festival, and then in April, we are thrilled to present the 75th anniversary of the Provincial Drama Festival. This year's festival in April during Easter week is going to feature 8 nights of plays from clubs all across the province. We hope you'll join it, and do check out the website because we add more shows every day.
And that's it for today's episode. I really want to thank Glenn Green, the president of Western Snow Riders, for coming down and sharing with us a bit about the trail network and what it takes to keep it going, as well as CEO of the Deer Lake Airport Authority, Tammy Priddle, for telling us about their new strategic plan and some of the opportunities up there. That's it this week. We'll see you next Tuesday for another episode of West Talk. Have a good night.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media. You're watching Rogers TV.
Today, I helped a senior find transportation to an important medical appointment.
Today, I helped a new mom find virtual programming so she didn't feel so isolated.
Today, I helped someone understand new government supports.
Every day, 211 navigators connect Canadians to critical government and community programs and services.
211. Help starts here.
You were gone forever.
It was 3 days.
There are other people out there.
It's my job to reconnect us all.
You might want to hold on.
Can I get a chee-hoo?
This is serious.
Is something distracting you? Disney's Moana 2.
You're watching Rogers TV.
When I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I was deteriorating in front of everybody.
All my life I lived with sickle cell. I went through a tragic crisis.